Thank you for joining us, everyone. This is Salt of the Streets, Part 4 of Episode 134. My name is Donovan.
I am Colin.
And we are out here. I want to thank you again for joining us. You've been watching us on our YouTube.com, Salt of the Streets. You can also find us Instagram.com/Salt of the Streets, and then Patreon.com/Salt of the Streets. Go there, sign up, help us make more, better content just like this. We also have, obviously, saltofthestreets.com, where you can find all this information in our own personal social media. I'm at Salt of the Street on Twitter and at alpaca_Donovan on Instagram. Colin is at Big Bird Alfie on both those things. If you want to watch some gaming, not for the next few weeks, but Lexi Kayo generally. Yeah. So in a few weeks, go check that out. But she is the last sponsor, so that's what we're doing.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier she's at flight attendant training, but usually she's streaming like every weekend, all the time, and all that good stuff. Yeah. But there's lots of videos to go get caught up on.
So I think that's it. Newsletter dropped yesterday. We have the review preview that dropped today for the book club.
There you go.
And then
I was gonna say, we haven't picked the review preview really.
We have. The review preview drops today. It's here on our YouTube. It's live, and then also Colin does the live stream beer reviews on Friday at 4:00 Pacific time. Fuck you, William Wallace.
You say 4:30?
4:30 Pacific time.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So with that, part 4. We're going to start with the grab bag.
Dude, I've been looking forward to this for a long time.
Part 4 is the grab bag. So we're going to start with a commercial that we're all going to watch together for a show called Power Trip. And it is on ABC. I heard the commercial for it, and I told Colin, I said, let me tell you how I know that journalism isn't real anymore.
Yes.
Specifically with ABC. So this show is about, as George Stephanopoulos put it, some 20-something reporters who are tracking he really said that, some 20-somethings who are tracking the midterms and, I don't know, their trials and tribulations. I don't know exactly, specifically what it's about because I have only heard that ad. So I'm excited to watch this.
It's a show about reporting.
It's a docu-series, about 20-something reporters and their reporting on the midterm. So we're going to watch this ad together, and then we're going to talk about it because
I hope it has a release date because it's coming out on Hulu.
It's on Hulu, yeah.
And if this is, I'm here for it probably.
Yeah,
so
I'll come over and watch it with you,
dude. It'll be legit.
I'll
Everybody
come over early just to watch an episode of this before the show.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And then we'll do like a fucking review on it. All right, let's get caught up on Power Trip.
Okay.
Well, midterms are right around the corner.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Let's watch the ad for Power Trip.
You gotta go.
Drop your phone.
Don't get that on camera. Don't get that on camera.
Don't get that on camera.
I can't turn back.
I'm ready for election night. I'm ready for debate night. I'm ready for it all.
Let's go. Let's get it. This midterms is really important. It will definitely shape the 2024 presidential election.
I'm not ready. I have to leave tomorrow. Gas me out. Gas me out.
I promise I don't cry this much.
Oh my god.
World?
Like we're going to another country.
Oh god. But I gotta grab and go. Boom.
Obviously, there's so much to learn.
Whoa.
You do anything and everything in this job.
I'm kind of stalking my candidate. I'm Libby Kathy. Nice to meet you with ABC News.
I'm Duff with ABC.
Miles Cohen. Nice to meet you, Senator Scott.
It don't matter who it is, baby. We ain't gonna take no for an answer.
Hi, everyone.
We're going to run you ragged. There's nothing like being on the ground floor. These seem to be setting up as perhaps the most consequential midterms in our lifetime.
There's some pressure.
It might be one of the biggest personal challenges.
No Tiffany Smiley there.
Tried.
Ta-da!
Powerfully raw, powerfully eye-opening, powerfully real, Power Trip.
What would George do? That's good. George would ask the next question. So, yeah, we're working on it. We're working on it, George. We're going to make you proud. What's the point of being an embed if you're not going to go all in?
September 25th. It's out. It's out, bro. We can watch it.
Nice.
Oh my god. All right,
well, maybe we'll watch an episode before I leave. We're finishing early, it looks like. So,
oh my goodness,
we're just running quick. I mean, that's all I'm saying. So,
what are you saying? Oh my gosh, how is this real? How is this real?
Okay, politics is now officially
a reality show.
All aspects of it are a reality show.
Yeah,
all aspects. Even the
this is a fantasy.
Yeah,
this is a fantasy.
Yeah,
this is when parody becomes indistinguishable from reality.
It's
this
real.
is it. We talked earlier in the show about how basically politics in general is basically just this ongoing running reality show. They've made a reality show about the reality show that is the reality show, bro. We're in it.
Those who chase power and those who chase them. That's what it says.
Gosh.
That's the tagline for Power Trip.
This is going to be
No,
so
Deborah says
bad.
no. No.
Oh my
I
God,
love
I'm
that.
so
yes,
excited.
that's real, Deborah. It's
I
real.
am so excited.
That is real, everyone.
I'm
That
just fucking
horrific.
jazzed about this. I want to see how long the episodes are really quick.
Oh yeah.
Who's watching? It's me. You guys can't see this shit. I'm going to search Power
There
Trip.
you go. Power Trip.
Power Trip, those who seek power. So we've got one episode out, and it is, how long
Say
are you?
click on it, we'll find out.
34 minutes.
Oh, nice.
Fucking sweet, dude. So it's a bunch of fucking Gen Z and millennials that
Yeah.
somehow got jobs over at ABC and have been roped into doing a reality show about chasing politicians.
Too
down.
long, Deborah says.
Too long.
Also, did you
So
notice?
it's about 34 minutes too long,
Did you
Deborah.
notice how they're 20 somethings?
Yes.
And this could be the most consequential midterms of their lifetime. At 20 something.
That's
right?
not it. That's not
They've got
so
probably
many years.
40 more years just of being reporters.
I
right?
think we really have about 2.
But this is potentially the most consequential midterms of their lifetime. Yes.
I'm so excited about
Yep.
this.
Yep.
How does this? You go to Hulu, pitch the show to me. All right. So what we have here is like how we report on.
They're just owned by the same company. There's no pitch. ABC,
Hey, that's right,
Hulu,
it is Hulu.
they're all owned by Disney. There is no pitch. They
I mean,
made it up themselves.
But somebody had to sit in a meeting somewhere and be like, I know what we should do. We
George
should make a show
Stephanopoulos.
who's got a really good track record. I'm being facetious.
Yeah, no,
obviously.
he sat there and he said, "I've got a great show. It's about me, and
I'm in
not
charge
I'm
of
not
a bunch
gonna
of
be in it.
interns.
I'm not going to be in it all the time, but I'm going to be in it sometimes," because he says in the commercial, and who do they turn to when they need help? Me, of course. He really says that.
Yeah.
So
He's got a daddy
yep,
complex.
he was at the center of it.
Also, I want to have a bone to pick with
He's
these
going to
people.
get Me Too'd when he's dead by one of these people, 100%. There's
100%.
no question about that. He's doing
Daddy
inappropriate shit.
Stephanopoulos.
Yeah. No, this is all bad.
I did not see a single trans person in that commercial, and that is upsetting to me.
What the fucking fuck?
Oh, I didn't even show
Sorry,
you.
Deborah.
Because I know you're a anti-Hulu guy at this point,
I just
right?
anti-Hulu. I just don't have.
I know. But, they are owned by Disney, right? Aren't they owned by Disney?
They are owned by
Yeah,
Disney.
yeah. Everything's
I went
Disney,
to,
bro.
I went to get rid of
Everything's
Hulu
Taco Bell.
because I didn't watch it anymore, and we had the bundle of all of the things, and we were talking about getting rid of Disney anyway.
Yeah.
So we just cut it all. Plus, ESPN is a
Plus,
bunch
you
of fucking
can't watch
wokester
anything.
shills. No, I started to not
Yeah.
trust the content.
You
It
got
was another
Netflix
thing.
kids, and that's about all you need.
I
'Cause you don't
don't-
have any free time.
No, and we don't let Dax watch anything that we're not watching anyway. We don't have time to or that we haven't watched, and we don't have time to sit down and watch a bunch of fucking brand new content all the time.
Yeah.
just so he can watch
Deborah,
it.
what's your favorite show right now?
So there you go.
Because I've been watching all these terrible shows, and they're not good.
Oh,
All the new ones are garbage. All the big new ones, Lord of the Rings and Game of
Yeah,
Thrones, they're
yeah.
all just trash, dude. It's not good.
I think Seinfeld is the only show that I watch.
Yeah, you're a void of pop culture. You're just a void.
Not good. It's not good.
This is why I reach for Pop Culture Crisis these
I
days.
read. That's my pop culture now, is reading.
You're such an old man. Look
Yeah.
at you. I watch sports.
Yeah, I watch
I
a lot of
read
sports.
books, and
Well, I watch as much football as I can. I compete.
and I watch Seinfeld.
I compete between fucking Gabby's Dollhouse and whatever football game is on.
I'm surprised
so-
at this point you're not watching Frasier. Jesus.
I might watch Frasier. I like Seinfeld better. It's actually funny.
I've never watched Frasier as an adult, but I kind of feel now like I don't want to because I feel like I'd like it.
Yeah.
Because I like that kind of dry,
Kelsey
kind of
Grammer.
pinky out humor type of
Yeah.
deal. I feel like that's pretty funny.
I like it.
Because I've been watching The Expanse lately.
Right.
I've been getting caught up on that. And
Back
I
on
watched,
your sci-fi.
Yeah, I watched one episode of it last night. So fucking good. I forgot how good it is. I didn't realize though how far I got into like season 4, and I think they stopped it at season 6. So I'm only part way through season 2, so I got a lot of catching up still to do. But it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
How, like when I watch that, and then I watch Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones. Part of the problem with these new shows is there is no storyline at all, particularly Lord of the Rings. There's nothing that goes on there. It's just a bunch of like, here's some really nice CGI and some characters. As far as story goes, there's no rings. Don't ask about the rings because they don't exist.
Is it about the process of making the rings?
We don't know yet.
Oh.
Because there is literally nothing to tell you that it might get there at all. It has Galadriel, the elf queen from Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, right? And it's like a young version of her. And you remember Isildur from Lord of the Rings, in the very first one, he's the dude that has the ring. It's got a young version of him. But other than that, like there's really nothing else going on. Like she's trying to find Sauron because she doesn't believe he's dead after the first big war. But that's it. There's nothing happening. The CGI is rough at points, which is sad. And there's just really no story. Oh God, I can't even imagine. Like a stupid amount. But I mean,
CGI is not good.
There's a lot of like woke complaints to be had about it, about like, random racial swapping and stuff like that. But I mean, I don't care about that. Give me a good story and you could put whatever the fuck you want in front of me. But there's no story, which is sad. And then when you look at the inverse Game of Thrones, which is kind of the more powerful of the two big shows right now, that shit's all over the place. I don't understand what the hell is happening in that either. They keep jumping in time, and there's again, you can't hardly make sense of that story either. It's like a weird, long history of a family that doesn't really transfer from episode to episode half the time. It's all just stupid. And then I put on The Expanse, and I'm like, this has an amazing storyline. It's capturing. There's layers to it. The characters have depth. I'm like, holy shit. I miss good TV. I miss good TV. Yeah. And now we're fucking resorting to a reality TV show reality TV show.
Power
good
trip.
Lord.
We're balling.
We're balling. And who else is balling out there today? I forget. What else are we talking about? DHS. You want to talk about DHS?
Yeah, let's do it.
Pop
survey,
culture,
right?
video games, man.
Right.
This was good. Where's my mouse at? There we go.
Lead me through it, Offie.
This one, I gotta shout out Pop Culture Crisis again.
Shout out Pop Culture Crisis.
I gotta tell you, that show has come a long way, man. The Expanse, yes, Deborah. The Expanse is a science fiction novel series it's written by two authors that write under one pen name, and I'm not going to remember offhand what it is, but it started as a sci-fi show on Sci-Fi Network and then ultimately got dropped and then re-picked up by Amazon. And the only reason they quit doing it is because there was some kind of sexual harassment type stuff.
The only reason
they did that. I mean, come on, it's Hollywood. Fucking Weinstein's out there and you got good shit. I just want some good entertainment. But
yeah.
But ultimately they ended the series on, I think, season 6 because of the shit that happened. So they had to close it off. But as far as like adaptations from book to screen, one of the best I've ever seen ever. And it's kind of about this kind of grand scale war epic between Earth and Mars and the asteroid belt. And there's these 3 different factions and and then there's like this alien aspect of things, open up this big fucking gate that opens up to like multiple worlds, and it's this fallen empire. It's in the literary world, you would call it a space opera. That's the genre, right? It's just grand scale, epic fucking empires and shit. It's fantastic, man. It's fantastic. But yeah, ultimately, they fucking canceled the show recently, which was sad. One of my favorite characters too. It was the pilot, man. The pilot of the ship that's involved. It's oh my god,
got
so
me
good.
Dude.
I mean, it was more or less. It was like a current Me Too. Hey, this guy's like a fucking piece of shit. He grabs ass, and it's like, come on, bud. What are you doing there? He's the Martian too on the crew, which is sad. But anyways, Pop Culture Crisis. I heard this, I think last week they had mentioned it on the show. And it got me. I was like, this is prime time grab bag material. That's because the DHS headed by our lovely Secretary of Homeland Security, Mayorkas.
Yep.
Department of Homeland Security has awarded nearly $700,000 to researchers that are monitoring extremism in video game communities. I'll just read a little bit of this. This has come from Gizmodo, which is kind of
like a tech.
They're like a
news
tech
agency,
entertainment kind of news agency, right? The U.S. Department of Homeland Security, the agency that brought you great hits like Airport, Facial Recognition, Kids in Cages, and Short-Lived Disinformation Governance Board, is setting its sights on another supposed hotbed of terror: video games.
Coming out hot.
Word. Like, you read that first paragraph, you're like, okay, you kind of got me a little bit. Let's keep reading. I feel like you got DHS where they should be right now.
Coming in hot.
Right? Okay. So this week, the DHS awarded terrorism and misinformation researchers it's almost $700,000 grant to investigate the ways extremism can spread through online gaming communities. The DHS hopes the researchers will use the grant to develop a set of, quote, best practices and centralized resources for game makers to monitor and evaluate potential extremist activity occurring on their games. The DHS grant was first reported by Vice, and I also had the Vice story up here too. Occasionally, Vice has something decent to report on, by the way. It is, in its announcement, the DHS acknowledged some of the positive community-building aspects of online gaming, noting how many have, quote, become focal points of social activity and identity creation for adolescents and young adults. Both went on to criticize developers for failing to properly account for the ways extremist groups could potentially use the same platforms to promote hateful conduct,
Get the fuck out
harmful
of here.
conduct.
That's the same thing as when they
What
were
the
saying
fuck,
that
dude?
like, exercise is of the right, you know?
Yes. Quote, extremists have used video games and targeted video gaming communities for activities ranging from propaganda creation to terroristic mobilization and training, the DHS writes. Game developers in general, from small independent studios to billion-dollar multinational corporations, have lagged an awareness of how extremists may attempt to exploit their games and how their communities can be targeted by radicalization.
What the fuck? So we're meeting up in the lobbies and being like, you know what's really cool? Fascism.
You know what's really cool? Islamic extremism.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Don't you want to go blow up a school? I mean, what the fuck, man? School board meetings and gaming platforms.
The breeding ground for
The
domestic
breeding
terrorism.
grounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So, and this is, mind you, this is one grant. There's a rabbit hole to be had here about the DHS funding, because this is about research, right? This is about this is a clusterfuck of money just shoved down the drain towards some research agency that's going to research the possibilities of this, and then probably ultimately culminate in a single report that talks about some of the things that may or may not be problematic with this industry.
Yeah.
But this, of course, sparked the larger debate again of whether or not video games are harmful to society,
Certainly.
particularly with young men.
Certainly.
Because, you know, people that shoot up schools often play Call of Duty. Correlation doesn't mean causation. A lot of people play fucking Call of Duty. I don't play those types of video games anymore, but my wife does. And she's not into, like, blowing up schools, you know?
She's an extremist, bro. You got to keep your eye out.
I mean, she is an immigrant. We got to watch that, you know? She fled a bad situation.
Extremists.
Yeah. But this is just, and like, it dovetails so nice with what we talked about in part 2 today of, like, just a wasted government spending. Mind you, this isn't necessarily that fraudulent, but you tell me there's going to be be $700,000 used. We're going to get something out of this. And
no, it's definitely not worth
all that it's going to
$700,000.
do is give the government an excuse to try to crack down on gaming. That's all it's going to do.
We're going to add an extra rating system This one also has online communities, or has a history of extremism in the online communities.
Yeah.
So
Well-
be extra careful if you're going to affiliate.
Well, and what this really, the fear within the gaming community, if you will, right, is I don't think you're that familiar. Maybe I should just pull this up. We can actually show it a little bit. One of the largest computer gaming platforms out there right now is a company called Steam,
Right.
funded by or created by Valve, which
Okay.
started in Seattle, right? And what this is actually, I'll just pull this up real quick so y'all can see it. This is kind of like a Hulu type user interface, right?
That's
This is the
near.
store place, right? So you can you go through and you can click on, there's algorithms that feed you different games based off of other games you've bought so far. You can look things up by category. I mean, it's a whole different deal. And then it stores all your games in a warehouse so that essentially you just play via the cloud type deal. You can do local downloads or whatever. But this is the modern day, like, storefront for gaming.
GameStop.
Right. And so what people are concerned with is because there are literally tens of thousands of independent developers making video games. There are big video games, this, that, and the other thing, and they're all algorithmically controlled on here. The censorship that can come up from government involvement at this point to stop creative endeavors from happening in the video gaming space. That's what people are concerned about because you won't even know.
Because anybody can make a game and put it up there.
Yes. Yes, there is. I mean, there was a controversy at one point, I think a couple of years ago. Somebody created it was a shitty game, but somebody created like a first-person shooter where you go and shoot up an airport.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then in AAA titles and like in the big multinational corporate titles, the biggest one being like EA. I don't know, EA games, they make a lot of sports games too.
Yeah.
In one of the most recent Call of Duties, not most recent, but a couple Call of Duties ago, during the single player campaign side of it, there was a point at which you were put into one of the bad guys, right? And you were literally walking through an airport, blasting through people, right?
So what you were, right? This was Modern Warfare 2.
Yes.
And because this is one that I bought.
Nice.
So Modern Warfare 2, and you
Back
were
on
actually an undercover special forces agent working for the enemy,
right.
and you were going through the airport to try and prove your mettle, and you could skip it. You had the option to skip it in the beginning of the game.
Yes, you did.
But if you went through you were literally just walk through the airport and just murk random people.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the level, you get shot anyway because they know that you're a snitch.
Yep.
So they go to help you in the van and they just shoot you right in the face.
Yeah.
So you murder all these people for nothing.
Yes.
They strap you with an MG with like literally an MG42, and you just walk through and just fucking load people.
Yes. And that MG42, like a fucking World War II gun?
Yes.
That's right. I'm trying to remember, because I actually did play that game. That was one of the last first-person shooters I played.
Got a grenade
I'm
launcher
not-
too, like
yeah, I'm
M16
just
with a
not
grenade
into that
launcher.
shit.
On it. You just thump, thump. Yeah, it's fucked.
I play a lot of like Civilization type shit, big turn-based strategy stuff.
I like a first-person shooter.
Yeah, I think most people do. Most people do. But it's just, this whole thing, again, has, of course, spawned the conversation about how video games are violent and they're bad for people. And now, in the era of suppression and kind of like involvement in people's lives and what they should and shouldn't be able to play and do and watch, once again, we're having this same fucking conversation that we have time and time and time again that, like, well, research shows,
Right.
a new study shows that video games lead to violence, which, as we all know, is absolutely asinine. It
No,
does
we've
not.
had this when there's multiple studies that say the exact opposite. that
Exactly.
video games do not cause more violence. That there are more than enough people what the fuck am I trying to say? That there are far more people who play video games that are not violent, that play violent video games that are not violent, than people who play
Yes.
violent video games that are violent.
Especially in today's world, saying somebody that commits violence also plays video games is just as equivalent as saying somebody that commits violence also watches TV.
Right.
It's no different. This is just something that for a long time people are able to kind of point their finger at because
Especially
a
young
smaller
men.
segment play. Yeah, especially that. Yeah. The people that are more apt to commit violence, right? Disenfranchised young men. Because a smaller fraction of people played video games and it was primarily within those, today more and more and more and more people play video games. It is one of the most popular entertainment pastimes. Go to fucking Twitch right now. They're one of the most like woke companies out there.
Twitch is huge.
And there is like, I mean, there's a massive like genre of like transgender streamers out there that are just killing it and people love it. And it's like a whole deal. It's everybody plays fucking video games out there. They all might be trans women, but that's fine. You know, it's a big all encompassing, you know, it's a big umbrella, it's a big tent, it's a big party, everybody's invited. Everybody plays video games anymore. And to fucking waste money on this shit today just drives me nuts.
For nothing to be different. It's not gonna, like I said, the most I can see coming out of it is a new rating system. Nothing is going to be different.
What might be
functionally.
Functionally. What might be different is they might just suppress certain video games from coming down because the political pressure might come down on companies like Steam to say, you can't, we're not gonna platform this video game. Sorry, go fuck yourself.
And there's been some stuff like this. Like I remember one of the last Medal of Honors that came out was like a Middle Eastern one, and in the online version or in the online mode, you sometimes would be the Taliban. Like that was just one of the teams, and so you would be the Taliban and you would be fighting against like Navy SEALs, and so they wouldn't sell that game on military bases in like the next or anything because they're like, we're not going to fucking support you shooting American citizens even though it's a video game, right? It's not fucking real. Wouldn't sell it on military bases because you could potentially be matched up as the Taliban versus the United States and then have to kill people.
Yeah, there's a word for that, right? It's called propaganda.
Yeah,
That's
you
exactly
also just like
is.
fucking Call of Duty, you don't like make up your own weapon classes and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like it's a whole deal. It's fucking stupid.
It's so stupid.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's so stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, I shout out Pop Culture Crisis, man. They're killing it over there. That was every now and again. I watch that show almost religiously nowadays. It's a great way to like end the day at work. I put that shit on. It's fun. It's lighthearted for the most part. Talk shit about celebrities, and every now and again, because Brett, the main host of that thing, and the co-host Mary, she's fucking got a deep hatred for government. Both of them do. And so when the government gets involved somewhere in the entertainment world, they're like, man, fuck these people, man. Oh, it's great. It's good shit. Yeah. So anyways, there's that. I also noticed that if you didn't hear, Trevor Noah's leaving late night.
I did.
Thank God.
Did.
Another one bites the dust.
Did they say who's going to take over his spot? He fucking sucks anyway, dude.
He's terrible, man.
Especially compared to Jon Stewart, you know?
Jon Stewart,
when he was on The Daily Show, he was fucking awesome.
When Jon Stewart left, late night died.
Yeah.
Period. It was over at that point. I mean, the old guys, once that era ended,
it was done.
It was over. You know, I don't even know who does the rest of the late night shows anymore. You know,
Jimmy Fallon.
Colbert,
Jimmy Fallon does one. Jimmy Kimmel does one.
Right.
I don't know.
There's that other British dude, right?
Yeah, but that guy's not going to do it anymore. I don't think
because nobody knows his fucking name because he sucks.
Yeah, he does the car karaoke, right? That guy, James Corden.
Oh, James Corden.
That's his name. Yeah, and I don't think he's going to be on TV anymore.
That's good.
But
I never really was a fan of his. Letterman, man, that was the heyday, Deborah.
Yeah.
Letterman, even I will say that Leno, you know, I mean, it was Leno, dude. I mean, that was the deal.
Yeah.
You know, even, you know, say what you want about Colbert, but like the old school Colbert Report, I know that wasn't late night, but that was kind of in the realm of that genre-ish, you know. I mean, it worked, man, and it's all over now.
Starlink update. Okay, so this is a picture
Starlink update
of Ron DeSantis, and he's standing in front of these units. So in the tweet is, we worked with SpaceX to deploy 120 large Starlink units to Southwest Florida that will provide broadband fast. So they're So I don't think you need to have specifically like your own Starlink router.
Okay.
You know.
I just remember like during Ukraine in the beginning days, like there was like a big deal about them like sending Starlink shit out to Ukraine.
Right, and that's I think what they're talking about is they're like big pieces. It looks like you can put out on the street and people can tap into it.
Oh, okay.
So I just tweeted it to you or sent you in a DM. So you should be able to fucking.
Oh, you DM me, big guy?
Yeah.
You slide into my DMs?
I did, slid in the DMs. Yeah, so that's the unit, right?
Oh, hot
We
dog.
work to deploy 120 large Starlink units to Southwest Florida. So that's what the Starlink unit looks like.
Way to go,
So they just-
fucking Musk, bro.
So they just got it shipped. Like they just need those in Ukraine. That's all.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's some Starlink units like that in Ukraine floating around.
Well, I hope there's some in Iran.
Yeah.
That's what, because I know they have those in Ukraine. I remember the pictures from the shipments coming out of the trucks and shit. Way to go, dude. All I'm saying is, man, as far as like emergency response and shit goes, like DeSantis, it appears at this point
He's
that
balling.
he's been on fucking point, doing everything he possibly can. He's making constant updates. I mean, he's
But he's
working
not
behind
talking-
the scenes,
But he's not talking shit about Joe Biden anymore.
which makes him bad or good.
I
I'm
don't-
still confused about
It's
whether or
worth
not they like it
noting.
or not.
It's worth noting.
Yeah, the fact that the two of them have been able to like get over their differences and deal with this shit, even though Ron DeSantis has had to pressure Biden multiple times throughout the day to actually give him a phone call while Biden was calling local mayors over the governor of the state. He eventually did so, and it appears as if the two are working amicably together at this point to resolve everything that can be possibly resolved for the devastated state of Florida.
Like best friends.
They're I mean, he might be the next running mate. Let's just put it that way. We got to get Kamal out of there.
Presumptive nominee.
The presumptive nominee.
Yeah.
By who, bitch? That pisses me off so much. That's what it was. There was the presumptive nominee.
Yeah.
That pisses me off so much. NPR sucks, dude.
And ABC.
Yeah. Fact check
Milky.
true. See, you get down on the Milky every day about, right?
Yeah.
I can't do that no more.
You don't do it every day?
I don't do it every day. It has. I have.
You don't do the Milky every day?
No, bro. Deborah, and if you don't know who we're talking about the daily podcast from ABC.
It's
right?
called Start Here.
Called Start Here. And
The
it is-
host, his name is Brad Milky.
and he's
He's
the
bald
worst.
with glasses.
It was just so funny. 'Cause I
Terrible
always
voice.
picture him looking more like Michael Barbaro, somebody that's like way too young to have all that gray hair and big fucking librarian glasses.
He's way too
but
young
he
to be
does.
bald. That's what it is.
You know, some people just look good bald.
You know, so we talked about the football game on Thursday, right? Tua Tagovailoa, he got fucked over, right?
hard,
He got
man.
hit super hard, and he was fucked up. So there's been all kinds of,
Re-questioning of the.
and there's been talk back and forth. On the way here,
Mm-hmm.
I was yelling at the radio because I was listening to Fox Sports, and this guy was talking about, you know, everyone. There's independent evaluators, and they're doctors and everybody, and you think that they would just let him go out there if he was fucked up, and you know, it's on Tua Tagovailoa to be honest, and all this type of shit, which it is on Tua Tagovailoa to be honest, but. And then this comes out, this is from Ian Rappaport. The NFL and the NFLPA are expecting to make changes to the concussion protocol based around the use of the term gross motor instability, thanks to what has been learned with ongoing Tua Tagovailoa. They also, the independent evaluators fired the doctor that evaluated him last week, right? Because last Sunday he was tackled and he was walking off the field all woozy, and then he was evaluated, and apparently they passed him and everything. Now they have fired the person who evaluated him for making multiple mistakes. So whether they chose to overlook his neurological issues or they didn't recognize them because they're not properly qualified or whatever the reason being,
Or they
now
just
that
don't care.
now that guy has been fired, right? That's why the guy on the radio was irritating me, because he's talking about all these people and their jobs and blah blah blah. They also have an incentive structure to win. They have an incentive structure built by millions and millions and millions of dollars to put Tua on the field for him to continue to play, even if maybe he isn't in the best position to play. And if all they need, because some corrupt fucking doctor is willing to pass him, if all they need is Tua to say, yeah, I'm good to go, that's what the starting quarterback of any NFL team is going to say, even if they have broken ribs or a fucking broken leg. Yeah, I'm good to go. Put me out there. I'll chuck the ball. That's what they're going to say. So I don't know exactly what needs to be done to change that, but the fact that he was able to get hit like that and they can put him back in the field for him to get fucked up again and then say, I don't know, it's an independent contractor, we don't know what to say.
I'll tell
That's
you
horrific.
exactly how you fix this problem. You at least double the length of the NFL season. You make backup quarterbacks and backup positions that much more important, and you cycle players through, and when somebody is all fucked up, you let them sit out for a couple games because it is not that important that you miss a game or two because you got fucked up.
Right.
If the season is longer, the pressure is lessened. If the season is longer, you got more games to sit out. You can take a couple chances out there, but the NFL season is so fucking short. It runs so tight
17
that
weeks now.
every game is a make or break fucking moment. The stress is so high. You got to get out there. Make the NFL season way longer. Make the team size a little bit bigger. Give everybody some more money to get some more players on teams and shit. Let's just expand this shit out a little bit more.
Yeah.
Plus, we can step on, the NBA a little bit, and that wouldn't hurt. Football's way better than that.
Yeah,
I would love that, man. Imagine that. Imagine
it's more physically demanding, though.
it is, and that's why you'll need more players. You'll need more players. But at that point, everybody gets more playtime. There's more, fucking change people out during the game, stuff like that. Fucking bring in the timeout and like in soccer, you're subbing people out of the lineup. Somebody's looking hemmed up,
Pitchers in one
exactly.
game. Okay.
Let's do that. Expand that shit a little bit.
Now.
Imagine that just for a second. Play that out in your mind. That doesn't seem like a sucky sport. Plus, it'll protect my fantasy a lot. It would not suck to have more football out there.
That's interesting.
But tell me I'm not wrong when I say, like, part of the reason I think there's a lot of, like, perverse incentives going on in the NFL is because the tension is so tight, the stress is so tight. You don't have room to fuck up.
In baseball, you have 165 games in a season, so you can lose one or two, and it's not a huge deal as long as you keep up.
And the NFL will make more money. Boom. Deborah agrees with me. That means we're in.
Yes.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
Let's start pitching this to the Goodell bot. Let's do it.
The Goodell bot.
I watched that South Park episode recently.
That's funny.
The Goodell bot. I can't believe that guy's still in charge, man.
Roger Goodell? Oh,
yeah. Who like gives him his job? Because he's the commissioner of the NFL.
Yeah.
Who does that?
I do not know. I think there's probably a board of directors for the NFL.
Is it like a publicly traded company, or like you can have an executive board for a private company? Yeah. I wonder who the fuck.
I don't. That's a board of directors because I don't think there's any one like owner of the NFL.
Yeah. He's just the dude in charge.
Right.
Interesting. Because you
I
gotta.
don't agree.
Oh
Yeah.
no. Oh, I don't agree. Oh.
Yeah, that's interesting. I would have to really think about that because that's just a very physically demanding sport.
Well, it is. Yeah.
And that's part of why they only play once a week, is just because it takes so much time to recover.
Well, the NFL these days has become more or less like a game of attrition almost at this point. Like, how long can you go with all? How often do teams make it through an entire season without losing people to the injury list?
No, almost never. I don't.
Right?
I'm gonna say never.
That seems fucked. Right? I don't know, man. But also, I love football, so I just want more of it. So I would just love more. I can't like catch it regularly because I'm just not. I'm not super into sports like some people are. Like we know people that their whole life revolves around sports, and that's about all it revolves around.
Yes, we do.
Right?
Yes, we do.
Which is, I have questions, but also some people need something to live for, so that's fine.
I like sports.
I know you do, but you also have a family.
I
so
do.
that works. There's sports balance to your life.
I definitely don't get to watch as many ball games as I used to.
Oh yeah. You were pretty hot on it for.
I used to spend all day at home on Sunday. I would not go anywhere.
Yeah.
I would just watch football all day.
Yeah.
And,
First game comes on at what time?
10 o'clock.
There you go.
Yeah, always, every time. So,
last game starts at 5:30.
And I now we go swimming on Sundays now. And swimming starts at 11. So I will watch maybe the first 45 minutes of the game.
You give me so much hope in life. White picket fence.
Then I'll watch most of the 1 o'clock games because that's during like quiet time or nap time, so I'll watch most of the 1 o'clock games or for sure the first half. And then most of the 5 o'clock games, most of the 5 or 5:30. He usually takes a bath on Sunday. So, I can talk to her and be like, hey, why don't you fucking take a bath. You know, as long as Reason is not eating, like, why don't you take bath, and I will put Reason to sleep and watch this football game. and that's worked out pretty well the last couple weeks.
Fucking dad,
so long as
full
time
on dad
works.
mode achieved.
Yeah, as long as I angle her head into the dark.
We just need to make sure that whatever the bathtub, bath time, bathroom is in the new house, you put a TV in there that can connect to the cable, and then you can watch the football while you're
I would have to put
bathing the
one.
kid. You know,
There's a big cabinet on one side. I would have to put one in there, like on the door or something. But
did you ever know anybody when you were growing up that had a TV in the kitchen?
yes,
That was like a thing,
that was a thing,
right?
Because
And it was always like
in their
soaps and
kitchens all the
shit.
time. Yes,
You
or
know, it
the
was-
news. You
yeah,
know?
it was always terrible.
Yeah, it was
terrible
never
TV.
actually good television.
No,
Yes,
but you had something on because I mean, you got to have the TV on, I guess, back then. Yeah, I mean, we've officially graduated from the TV in the kitchen to the TV in the bathroom. Let's do it. We'll make it a thing. Done. That'll be the millennial Gen Z thing. Let's do
I
that.
don't need a TV in my bathroom. I already take my phone in there and stuff like that.
I mean, your phone's basically a TV, right?
Yeah.
It's just like we're like one step away from TV being fully integrated on the phones.
I actively try and leave my phone and take a book instead.
That's a healthy decision. Man, I wish I could say I was, had enough self-discipline to do that.
Well,
Sometimes I just won't take nothing in there. but-
For a while, I was keeping, I have like a copy of the Constitution and all those different writings in there, and that was my bathroom book.
Nothing like reading the Constitution.
Yeah,
when
and it
you're
was
dropping
fine.
deuce.
I read, most of the shit that I cared about. So
We the people. I'm just saying that's kind of a desecration of our culture there, Big
Sits
Shooter.
right on the back of the toilet, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Nothing more American than that, I
Yeah,
guess.
exactly.
It's better than Lizzo playing a flute and twerking.
How did that come about? Do you know? Like, why was that an opportunity?
So, from what I have gleaned from, once again, shout out Pop Culture Crisis, they talked about this. But everybody in Timcast did. Lizzo was in the area for a concert.
Okay.
And I guess somebody that works at the National Archives, but the Library of Congress that keeps all these
The
national
largest
relics and
private
stuff like
collection
that.
of flutes in existence.
Indeed, yeah, as we've all found out now. Yes, Deborah, so gross. Whether that was my comment earlier or this one, but I'm going to go with this one. Apparently somebody that worked there was like a big fan or whatever and like arranged it so that she would come to the Library of Congress and play the crystal flute that was owned by John Adams?
James Madison.
James Madison. And originally she did. She came there. She was dressed as...
John Adams don't play no fucking music.
No. But he was gifted this crystal flute, I think, by somebody in France, I think was the story. And so she was invited to go to the Library of Congress and perform something because Lizzo, as it turns out, is a professional flautist.
Yeah. She's a
And-
talented musician. There's no doubt about
there's
that.
no doubt about that. She's just, she's Lizzo.
She is Lizzo. That's true.
And so there are, actually, I wonder if I could find them. But there's
you could
two
definitely-
videos
you could definitely
out there
find it.
now.
Is there one respectful one and one non-respectful one? Is that
Yes,
kind of the
that's
way?
kind of the
okay.
way it works.
Yeah.
Some people are just offended, period, and some people are offended by one but not the other.
I'm not like offended by her playing the flute. I don't get it. I don't understand why. The twerking thing, I don't.
The twerking thing is a thing, right?
Yeah,
That's another
and
conversation.
Even
fucking Washington Post. You're gonna do some bullshit about this. Let's pull this up. I think this is it. So this was the original when she was invited to the Library of Congress, and she played the flute. She's wearing jeans, but she's fully clothed with. But with Lizzo, that's a plus every time you can catch her fully clothed, for the most part. And she's playing the crystal flute, and she's just doing her thing. It's nice, it's tasteful. What an honor! You can go do that. It's pretty sweet. That I didn't know she did that then, but.
And this was a gift to James
And then later on,
French crystal flute designer, to celebrate his second term.
this was actually at her concert. This is the most distasteful one. This is the one everybody's really pissed off about. I didn't know every video I saw of the previous video where she's fully clothed and in the library, I didn't know she shook her ass a little bit. That's the first time I saw that.
Okay.
Right there. I've seen like multiple videos of this, and everybody's like, "Oh, you know, it's fine." She's doing. Even Ben Shapiro was like, "Oh no, that's fine. You know, I saw that's no big deal." And then we have this one.
The George Washington and this crystal flute right here.
Okay. So I've only
snap.
seen the first one. I haven't seen this one.
You haven't seen this one?
No, I've only seen the first one.
Oh,
and so that's
this is the
when
one.
okay. So when I saw it, I was like, I wonder why people are so upset about this. Like,
I wonder if she'll go into it because it's WAPO. They're probably trying to cover, but zoom in. Show me the angle of everybody else. And she's like, yeah, you can't really see it there, but she's like shaking her butt. That's a bad video. That's a bad video right there.
okay.
Yeah, either way. But yeah, that's the one where she's I'll see if I can find another video real quick.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's not good, man.
You got to type in twerking, or else you're not going to get the twerking one.
Yeah, Lizzo twerk. How do you spell twerk?
I think like that.
Lizzo twerks, playing flute.
Okay.
There we go. All right, everybody close your eyes. Let's make sure we can get through this without
Okay.
any vomit on the floor.
Oh my goodness!
Let's do
You're like Crowder.
it. It's
Jordan's gonna tell you off next time she sees you. Okay.
Lizzo's
There it is.
performance
So you
was
saw that.
one for the
So she shakes. It's the whole deal. Why is she gonna tell me off, bro? It's fine.
Because Jordan's all about body positivity.
Okay, I mean that's fine. Be body positive. I mean, be body positive. That's fine. I don't. That's cool. Go do your thing. But if you're, I don't know, man. If you're gonna do that with the National Archive deal, just come on now. Amazing book review. You guys are killing it. Hey, look at that. What if you watched one of our videos earlier today?
No, the only
Shout
reason I'm
out.
saying that is because you said let's make it through without some puke, right? And
Well,
I
it's
don't.
because. Come on now. I don't want to see that. I'm sorry.
And-
I'm a shallow motherfucker.
And
My
that's
bad.
fine. I don't disagree with you. I'm
I'm
not
a bad
attracted to
person.
Lizzo either, but I don't think that it's necessarily tasteful to talk about how disgusting somebody looks. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm talking about. Is
What if we're talking about Rachel Maddow? Can I say that?
I
just
don't-
I'm sorry. I'm poking the bear now. That's fine. That's fine.
That's all that I'm saying.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't.
fine.
I don't.
My
don't
bad.
disagree with you that it's not. It's not tasteful at all. It's
Okay.
very not tasteful. There's a weird.
Lizzo is a very strong, powerful,
That's.
beautiful woman.
We've known each other for way too long for you to be taking this way. What I'm saying to you is it doesn't beneficial or add anything to it to talk about how gross she looks.
You're
right.
This
It
is
doesn't.
true.
It doesn't add anything to it because
But-
of course she's overweight. But
I
her
will say
whole
this.
stick is that she's overweight and she's beautiful and she's whatever. So
That's
that's my only point is that doesn't take or add anything away from it to talk about
It
that
does
she
not.
looks gross.
It does not.
right? The point isn't that she's fat because it would be just as disrespectful as if it was Nicki Minaj or Kim Kardashian or any other person who is fit and
Yes.
also likes to twerk. It would be the same fucking thing.
The point is that this is somebody that is in a very exposed, like unitard looking, very exposed, very unprofessional,
It's
very
very weird.
disrespectful,
100%.
kind of like very undeferential
Yes.
outfit while playing a very historical archived, item like
And
that.
I
That's
don't-
that's not cool.
And I don't disagree with you to underline all of this, but like I said, it doesn't. That to me doesn't.
No.
it doesn't add or take away from the scenario
doesn't.
itself.
I'm just a pig, and I apologize.
We sat here talking about how like 5-year-old girls were last week, so I'm just more inclined to talk about how attractive someone is and how disgusting someone is.
This is true.
That's just me. I'm also not going to say don't fucking say that about her because I don't care. I don't know her.
You're right, and I will say
But
this
the next
too.
time you see Jordan, because
Part
she
of that,
watches
she's
the
gonna
show,
beat
she
the
also
shit out of
likes
me.
Lizzo. She's
That's
going to give you
fine.
shit for it. I'm
That's
just telling you.
You can hit me, Jordan. That's not a big
She's
deal.
going to give you shit for it.
No.
She's not going to put hands on you.
Just
Don't
right
hurt
there.
people and don't take their stuff, Colin. You know the two big rules. Damn it. You
Got
know
me
the
on
two
that
big
one.
rules.
Base Matt Kibbe doing me dirty.
No, and I don't, I don't know. I hate being like,
I don't
it's
feel-
disrespectful, but it's fucking weird.
It's
a super weird choice.
Yes, it
And
is.
I don't understand how we arrived at a point in which someone is like, Lizzo should definitely come and play James Madison's flute. Like,
Well-
that just seems very odd.
Okay.
That's what we've decided. I don't know.
If you are going to be in a setting in which anybody, like Lizzo, I think more along the lines of kind of like you're a popular pop culture person. You are indeed talented. You know, you are a professional flautist. You can play the flute. Not a lot of like hip hop stars, if you will, could probably play the flute. You know, a
Probably
lot
not
of
the flute. Yeah,
yeah,
because
the flute's kind of like an obscure deal,
yeah,
right? It's a
pretty
very
unique.
like, you know, it's like you're in primary school, elementary school,
Right.
junior high, high school. That's you play that, and then
right.
it's not like a huge pop culture instrument, right?
Piano and stuff is pretty common.
Very
Guitar
much
and
so.
whatnot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
much more common in popular culture than
Right.
like the flute, right? But
The oboe.
if you were to find somebody like that to come in and play it in a setting at which you feel does the artifact its justice for what it is, right?
Yeah.
For the import of this crystal
Boys.
flute that has never been played before ever.
Never ever.
Never ever.
Oh.
Because James Manning, he wasn't a flautist.
Oh, he just
You know,
owned
it was just a thing, right? Because
And
a
no
flute,
one's ever played it before.
that's the story at this point. Yes, she was the very first person to do it, right? Which is powerful.
Odd choice. It is very. It's an odd choice.
But it's an odd choice, right? Because there's a lot
it's
of
going to be
like
in a history book.
professional orchestral flautists, I'm sure, that you could have chosen as well,
Right.
but they wouldn't be as
Oppressed
popular.
as Lizzo is.
No, they wouldn't be as popular as Lizzo.
Oh, I
right?
thought the point was that a Lizzo is oppressed. Isn't that her claim? Is that she's oppressed?
Yeah, maybe that's why I also make that comment too, because it's also kind of part of the
Also,
deal.
fuck her.
But that is kind of part of the deal of what Lizzo is, right?
Yeah,
like
no, I'm here for it.
She's extremely body positive to like
That to a fault.
to a
yeah,
fault.
That's true. That's
because
true.
she ain't gonna live that long,
Yep.
She's not gonna-
We've talked about it before.
Period.
That's true.
right? But
I'll give you the point back.
like you didn't pull a like a POC flautist from like the Boston Orchestra
like
or
the
something
best
like that,
POC
right?
flautist there is.
Yeah, you didn't do that. You picked somebody that was popular, which is probably a good idea because
Yeah.
that person would not have drawn such an audience as somebody like Lizzo is, who has the young popular.
Right, because now look at how insane this fucking whole thing has become.
Oh, it's become a deal.
Yeah.
And honestly,
Which
I
is
think it's
exactly
just
what they could have asked for, you know.
Yeah, and it's only become a deal because everybody's been like, "Oh my lord, how could you do that?" And then it didn't help that she twerked on stage, which I don't want to accept that twerking is something that people can just do, and I don't want it to become mainstream.
You don't think
You
it's
know what I
something people
mean?
should be just doing all the
But
time.
that also makes me feel like super old man. Like, well, you kids are all dancing together and bumping uglies and shit.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
when I was growing up, that was still the story. And I don't want to be that guy, but also I feel like there's an objective line somewhere. I don't know where it's at, but I feel like that gets pretty close.
I do not disagree with you. There are a lot of things that
I want more beer.
I personally find to be inappropriate.
What are your feelings on this?
It's not a good look.
But why though? Like, is it because of the artifact itself? Is it because it's
the
Lizzo?
artifact, it seems like it should be given more respect than, like you said, to be twerking it while you were playing it on stage. That seems like
But
it
you
should
want a
just
little
be
bit more
of a
respectful.
it should just be more of a little bit of like an official situation, especially if you're the first person to play it. I find it odd that they allowed her to take it to a concert. That seems
that was
very,
super
very
weird.
weird to me. I don't think her going there and playing it there, I don't think it's weird at all. That seems like a
That was
very
fine.
appropriate setting
Yeah.
where you're there, you're doing something.
You're in the
that-
halls of
that
the Library of
seems
Congress.
very appropriate
Yeah.
for that setting. I think the twerking thing, even there, is weird.
If you're going to shake your booty a little bit there, it's a different story, though.
It's weird. I guess it is within your character, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
But
Like, we knew who we invited.
even if it was just that, I think there are people who are going to be like, you shouldn't be doing that. You know, that's not respectful. It's not whatever. And I would probably contest it more than I think doing it at a concert is very weird. I think allowing her even to bring it to a concert is very weird.
Yeah. Well, somebody, I mean, there was a custodian and stuff. They delivered it
Still,
to her
I
and
don't-
stuff like that. But still,
I
yeah.
find it odd.
It is strange. It's very strange.
And you would think that as like the owners of or the curators of that thing, you would like, I want this to be, you know, highbrow. We don't need to be fucking black tie about it, but You
Yeah, I
know,
don't
let's
know.
respect it for what it is. Let's fucking, if you work there, you got a crazy stick up your ass for how cool all America is, and you're mad patriotic, and you think, you know, all this shit needs to be mad preserved. That's why you work there. So I would expect the respect.
But obviously not, though.
Right.
National Archive lets Lizzo toot a horn on stage, but Trump can't have fake. And let's be realistic about that. Trump's probably got all the papers of all the corrupt actions that were involved with him in Russiagate. I mean,
all
let's
the
be
shit they
realistic
don't want
about
getting out.
Exactly. Let's remember what we're probably talking about in that case. God, that's gonna be a shit show.
Nuclear materials, you know.
It's new. He's selling them to Saudi Arabia, bro. Obviously, duh. So
yeah,
anyways,
definitely seems like a weird look.
Yeah, it's
I'm right
definitely a
there
weird
with
look.
you.
Yeah, and also, I just, out of all the people though, I'm just like, why Lizzo? I guess, you know, because she is generally popular in the mainstream. You know, she's up there.
She is,
and she can play flute. That's got to be a very, very.
She's a flautist.
You know, finding a popular flautist has got to be like one of two max.
Yes,
you know what I mean. Especially in somebody in the pop culture like that. I mean, I guess she was probably like the only one, but I don't know. It almost sounds more of like it was like a happenstance thing. Somebody at the national
reached out to her.
Yeah, at the Congressional Library was like, "Oh my God, Lizzo's here. She's a flautist. We have this flute. We should do this thing. Let's get a hold of her. Let's do this thing."
Yeah,
like it was probably just circumstance, and that's how it happened. Because yeah, like you said, we got the biggest flute collective or whatever in the world. So that just it's just so weird. It's so odd.
It's very odd.
And the circumstances at play just led us to this point. It's almost like something more divine saying like, oh, hey, guess what we're going to do to you guys in your culture right now? Have fun with this. What were the chances that this could happen? We're going to do it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Anyways. So, yeah, there's that. You got anything in particular else you want to talk about?
Let's see. I have some stuff, but I almost like it's all really serious.
Oh yeah,
and I don't really want to do a bunch of serious stuff because we're already having fun, and I don't want to make it worse, you know. Let me see. Show notes. Edward Snowden is a Russian citizen. We can talk about this, and let's do the food equity thing.
The what?
Food equity.
Oh my God!
And then we'll do food equity. So
I gotta see if I can find that commercial.
Yeah, I'll introduce this. You try and find the food equity thing. So earlier this week, Russia, Vladimir Putin announced that Edward Snowden is now a Russian citizen. Right, his citizenship has been accepted, and there's all kinds of different takes on that. I'm pretty sure that I can speak for Colin and say Edward Snowden is a hero, and that's pretty much the end of that story.
I mean, he's a weirdo.
He's definitely a weirdo.
But he did a really good thing by exposing what the government is doing to us.
He's a patriot for sure and an American hero. How about that?
I will give that. We'll say that. I'm just not on the like the Ed Snowden train. But I do believe that there is absolutely no reason that the government should be going after him.
The
We'll put it that
reason
way.
that I say that he's a hero is because he released the information that people desperately needed, and I'm not sure there was anybody else who was going to do that at the time, who in that position.
Hero, I'm good with.
So, speaking for
Trying to find this
myself and
video.
Colin a little bit. Rarely
with
do I assume
reservation.
that I can speak for Colin. This time was a bad time to start. So,
I will say this though about Ed Snowden versus Assange. I feel like I'm more on the Ed Snowden train than the Assange train.
Yeah,
we'll put it that way. Like,
Theo, me too.
Pardon both of them, but also not like a fanboy.
Me too. So
there you go.
If we all remember, back in the day, Edward Snowden worked for the INS. No, that's not for the INS. He worked for the NSA.
NSA,
He worked for the NSA, and he did information. He did tech stuff. He found out that he had access to COINTELPRO and all these different documents, all this horrific stuff, all this drone footage, all these things, and he took these documents, released them to several different reporters with Julian Assange to expose them to the world. He then had to flee and was on his way. I don't remember where he was trying to go, but he was stopped in Russia when his passport was pulled and everything, so he couldn't go anywhere. He's been in Russia ever since like 2008 or some such shit, and his citizenship was finally accepted in Russia. Ned Price, who is the communications, the press secretary for the Department of Defense, said that he said that he thinks that Edward Snowden. I have the article here, so I'll read his quotes here. Russian citizenship. Let's see. Edward Snowden could be drafted to fight in Russia's war in Ukraine after Putin granted the U.S. whistleblower full Russian citizenship. State Department spokesman Ned Price said on Monday, "Our position has not changed. Mr. Snowden should return to the United States, where he should face justice as any other American citizen would. Perhaps the only thing that has changed is that as a result of his Russian citizenship, apparently now he may well be conscripted to fight in Russia's war in Ukraine." First of all, that's never going to happen. He's not going to be conscripted to fight in Russia's war in Ukraine. Second of all, fuck you, Ned Price. You are a piece of shit. In no world should Edward Snowden be charged with anything in America, and in no world, Jesus Christ, he's a piece of shit. Not Edward Snowden, Ned Price.
Yeah, I mean we're talking about what we're going to charge him under the Espionage Act.
Yep.
Which is how old of an law at this point? It's over 100 years old, I believe, at this point, and it's
2013, Edward Snowden.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
when he fled.
Yeah,
I said
yeah,
2008 earlier.
Oh, okay. But no, man, it's so stupid. And essentially, what we have here is an asset to American patriotism in an ideological sense, and not like a governmental sense, mind you, because fuck the government. But also, I believe Ed Snowden be down with that. But it bothers me at this point that we've come to. He's not a political pawn, but he has been used. It's been attempted. His use as a political pawn has been attempted, because simply by the fact of Putin giving that, by Russia granting him citizenship. Yeah. They, especially at this point in time, they know that that's just going to really, really piss off the government. Yeah. Doesn't really have an effect, I don't think, on anybody really in the United States, really that much, like the citizenry. Nobody really gives a shit that, like Cassandra Fairbanks ain't gonna care that Ed Snowden is now a Russian citizen compared to not being one. Like, the people that support Ed Snowden don't give a shit about that. Like, we don't care. What he believes and what he thinks and what he does is what they care about. The only thing that really did was piss off the U.S. government. Correct. Yes. Like I don't think it's not something that matters in the culture war. I don't think it matters on a societal level. It's mostly just
the citizenship status. No,
yeah,
it doesn't change
anything. It's just a governmental fuck you to the U.S. government. He can operate
in a freer stance now in Russia, and that's it changes things for Edward Snowden, but like you said, not effectively for the country.
Yeah, and all the people, like, I think you mentioned that when I went out, but like all the people talking about, oh yeah, he might be able to be called up on the mobilization and shit like that. They're not going to do that, dude.
He's 39.
For one, yeah, he's old enough. I believe he has kids, and for one,
he's never been in the military.
They know what kind of asset he could be if they wanted to enlist his services. It's not going to be to put a gun in his hand and send him to the front line. They're going to be like, hey, come to the Kremlin real quick. Let's talk about some computer shit.
Report to this troll farm. We got shit to do.
Amen. Report to the troll farm.
Yep.
Deborah said it's all CERN's fault.
It's all CERN's fault.
I'm telling you. We were all good. Everything was peaceful, and then CERN kicked off, and they're like, hey,
a black hole.
Let's just change your reality for a minute. Not into it. Now, I don't know. I pulled up the video, by the way.
Let's do it. Food equity.
I don't know. I recognize some of the photos here, but I don't know if it's the full video. This is something from the Daily Caller, so I'm hoping it's the actual commercial.
We'll see what we got.
But this is a commercial put out by the Los Angeles United School District, I believe is what it's called. And it's all about like the nutritional program and shit like that for the LA School District. In regards to, what people should be intaking into their bodies nutritionally and stuff like that. So, we all remember the food pyramid. This is the L.A.
Those
school
are big
district.
ass donuts.
Play. Oh no, we got to turn the sound on. Come on. Tim Pool there for a minute.
You're judging my food choices based on a false standard of health again, aren't you? Guilty.
Guilty. Oh, come on, Daily Caller. Just play it.
You got us donuts. Those are so bad for you. Oh no, are they moldy? I mean, are they poisoned? Are you allergic? No, I'm just saying. You're judging my food choices based on a false standard of health again, aren't you? Guilty.
Diet culture, fat phobia, and systems of oppression have created false hierarchies of food, and it shows up everywhere.
For instance, harmful thought patterns like earning food through exercising, or that dessert is the reward for the punishment of eating vegetables.
Remember that you do not need to earn food.
We are all incorrectly taught from a young age that our size, and therefore the foods that we eat, are markers of our self-worth. Moralizing food can lead to harmful relationships with food and disordered eating.
Instead of focusing
Honestly, the nose
on
ring is what
good
caught my
and
attention
bad
on that one.
choices, try to approach
Actually,
food
I like
with
the
cover it up for
neutrality in
yourself.
mind.
I like
The
the
only
nose ring.
foods that are bad for you are foods that contain allergens, poisons, and contaminants.
And
or food that is
processed
spoiled
sugars
or is
and
otherwise
seed oils,
inedible.
starches.
Eat without
And,
guilt,
oh wait, no, we're not talking about
regardless
that.
of what society says.
So that's the
All right,
new.
I'll accept your comments now.
That's the new.
I'll accept
It's
your
not
comments
good,
now.
man.
I'll accept your comments now.
Will you?
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that
Savage X Fatty. That's her tag. That's her ad name.
okay.
Say what you want. You call yourself a fatty. Say what you want. I'm not. Savage X Fatty.
All I'm saying
That's so awesome.
You're.
That's
Yes.
so awesome.
Okay.
And
Yes.
it's different models and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like this is also a different level. Like because you're putting it out of display. This is a whole deal. You know what I'm saying?
Objectively, what I said was wrong. No, because I used the term ugly. I used the disgusting, whatever. I was like, throw it up, right? That's different. But what we're talking about here is an objective point of health.
Yeah.
That
100%.
ain't healthy. That's not good. That's bad.
I love that I did this for the show. I love that I did this for the show. Deborah's like, what did I involve myself in?
What did we do here?
Like, do they care about nothing, or do they care about feelings, or what's like? What?
No, we care about liberty. That's what we care about.
That's true.
We care about the ability to call somebody accidentally
Yes.
something we shouldn't, perhaps, because it's insensitive.
I love this so much.
I'm just really trying to dig the grave deeper for when I
love it
see
so
your
much.
wife next. She's going to beat the shit out of me, and I love it.
No, and you're right. And this is the terms in which we've discussed Lizzo before. Is
Well,
on the health perspective.
And
right?
let's remember, this is targeted towards a younger school
Children
age
specifically.
audience, right? This is the key point in time. This is when you develop diabetes at a young age
Yeah.
like that, right? If
It's
you
also-
set up yourself to be eating a bunch of sugar,
Yeah.
and to say, well, it's food freedom. Like I don't have to earn this. I should. Oh, I'm trying to think of a weird term, but like, fuck the consequences. I can eat whatever I want, and there
Yeah.
are no consequences because hashtag food freedom. I can eat whatever I want. No, man. Especially when you're talking about a young developing mind, when you go to school in the morning,
Right.
like if you're on the breakfast program or something like that, you're gonna go get going to go eat a fucking like apple fritter in the morning compared to like
A Pop-Tart. A Pop-Tart is an example from what you're talking about.
Yeah,
versus...
like a Pop-Tart versus like something actually real. I don't know, like I'm trying to think of school
a
breakfast.
breakfast sandwich or something.
Something at least that as compared to a fucking donut.
Right.
A breakfast sandwich ain't that great either because there's a bunch of shit in that too, but at least there's like an egg and sausage.
And that's what I mean.
there's
If you have
meat
like an
and
English
protein,
muffin and you know what I'm saying.
brain food.
Yeah.
There's brain food involved because that's not just a term you use. I mean, that's a real life.
For a high schooler, an English muffin or like a breakfast sandwich is not a bad thing to have to start your day.
No, it is not. And if
an adult who's moderating their calories and shit is maybe not the best choice. But for a fucking 17-year-old, having breakfast sandwiches all day.
Yeah, and having a bowl of fucking Fruit Loops is basically the equivalent of eating a goddamn apple fritter.
Right.
There's not much different there. And yes, one is objectively better than the other.
Right.
One will lead you.
Some egg cups.
One will lead you into that.
Yeah.
One will lead you into
Yes,
that.
It will. Yes, it will.
As well as a bunch of other extremely terrible health consequences that will shorten your lifespan. 100% will.
Yeah, this whole deal of there's the only foods that are bad for you are ones that are, that's not true. There's no
man.
Bad and good are moral terms, right? But
well, and everybody is also different too.
Yes,
right?
but there are foods that are good for you objectively and bad for you objectively.
Yes.
That does not mean that you should never eat the bad foods because fucking. Again, eat whatever you want. If you want to have some fucking chips, you want to eat a donut, you want to fucking whatever, that's fine, right? But
have
those
a soda.
foods in moderation, they're fine.
But
they're
also,
not great for you, right? In moderation, they're fine. But like you said, if you eat only those foods, only processed foods, only fucking donuts and chips and high sugary content foods and foods with a bunch of seed oils and stuff,
bad.
You absolutely will become obese.
Yes.
100%. And as somebody, even on this show, from the time that we've begun to now, I have swung up and down in weight in 20, 30 pounds, right?
Well, every time you go up now, it's just because muscle mass.
but I have
swole.
gained and lost weight in the time that we've been on this show. So as someone who struggles with food in particular, and I've talked to you about food so much over the last few months, in food in particular and with their weight, this is not true. And this is going to kill people. This is setting people up to be unhealthy. And children in particular, like you were talking about, that is when you set like your patterns of eating. You know, if you eat processed foods all through your childhood, that's what you're going to be used to eating when you are an adult. That is what you are going to buy when you are an adult, and that's what you're going to eat. The first few years that I was out of the house, that's what I was eating, is processed food, fucking chicken nuggets and taquitos and that type of stuff, because that's what I ate when I was at home. That's what I ate when I was a kid.
Oh yeah,
it's
I had a bowl of sugar cereal every night at 8:30 for fucking treat time every night for over a decade. Probably I'm going to say 2 decades, because I did it as an adult as well, because it was, like you said, it's like a habit thing that you just do. I don't do that shit anymore.
Right.
But like I did for a very long time, and I have essentially 20 years of intaking a high amount of sugar and fucking corn at the end of the night that I'm going to have to live with for the rest of my life.
Right.
I can't get those back. Setting these kids up for failure at this point to say that's okay is a fucking problem, dude.
And it doesn't just make you fucking obese, because some people can eat like that and they'll stay relative shape, right? And that's what you're talking about. Everybody is different, but it also will wreak havoc on your gut and on your microbiome
and your heart and your cardiovascular system.
Lungs. Yeah, the way that your body is going to recover when you exercise, when you do different things.
Diabetes is a big issue.
100%. 100%. You don't have to be fat to have diabetes.
No, it's all about like the amount of sugar you intake,
Chemicals,
and then how your body metabolizes sugar, because isn't that essentially, I'm not a fucking doctor, but isn't that kind of like, there's like type 1, type 2 diabetes,
but process sugar.
It's all about how that works.
Stuff like that, right?
Yeah, and of course, if you set your body up to like have just a constant flow of fucking sugar from the jump, isn't your body going to be like, well, I don't need to fucking make this shit no more, I'm fine.
She also uses they, them pronouns. That's awesome.
We are in LA.
Yeah,
so.
No, that's awesome.
Of course we do.
No, this is not good. And the fact that woman is a nutritionist and she's walking around telling people that there are no foods that are inherently good or bad, and there are these what are they, like fabricated hierarchies of foods, you know. That's not true.
Nope.
You can definitely take
there is a fabricated hierarchy of food, and it's called the food
pyramid. Yes.
Yeah,
but
that's bullshit.
You can definitely take foods. If you fucking randomly walk around the store and grab 30 grocery items, you could definitely put them in an order of most healthy to least healthy, starting with protein density or nutrient density in the food. That's a very good place to start.
It's a good place to start.
How nutrient dense is it? What are you going to get the most out of when you eat the smallest amount of this
added
food?
Sugar.
Yes.
Does that say 0? Or no?
There are a lot of things that you can look at that will easily tell you whether or not something is generally good or generally bad for you. That does not tell you definitively whether you should or should not eat it.
Indeed.
But it does tell you generally how good that item is for you.
Yeah.
There are fucking whole applications that will tell you how good something is generally for you.
Yeah.
The food that I have, or the app that I have to help me track my calories and stuff, gives every food a general grade. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
From A+ and minus all the way down to fucking F. You know, just depending on how good that food is. So it is what it is.
I wonder, because it's funny, because that almost builds like your baseline, right?
Yeah.
Like we know there's, like you said, objectively bad things for the human to consume, right? And then there's some people that have and I hate saying this, but like a gluten intolerance, if you will, right? Regardless,
dairy and stuff.
Sometimes there's reasons for that. Yeah. And so, like, some people might thrive on a more high protein, high dairy type diet for whatever reason, and some people might have extreme problems with that.
Yeah.
Some people might do well. Like, there's some people that thrive on this carnivore thing. Some people don't. Some people thrive on like a keto-based thing. Some people don't. Some people
fuck with a lot of carbs, a lot of pasta and bread.
Some
and shit
people
like that.
do.
It's like people are just into that. You know?
And sometimes that's
runners and stuff like that. You know, if you do a mass amount of exercising, then carb intake is going to be a huge portion of your diet because you're burning so much energy. Yeah. So I don't remember what the fighter's name was, but he's a jiu-jitsu guy, and he was on Joe Rogan. And he was talking about how his diet mainly consists of pizza and pasta. Like, he trains every day and won't eat for most of the day, and then comes home and will make a pasta dish and a pizza.
Dave Portnoy?
and will eat a pasta dish and a pizza almost every day. That's like the vast majority of his diet. And part of it's just because he burns so many calories during the day that the protein and fats and stuff that he gets from the cheese and all of the olive oils, plus all of the carbohydrates, is like... He's operating on a weird ketogenic diet that's almost just carbs and fat.
That's so weird.
But he's like super lean and very fit, and is a competitive championship jiu-jitsu fighter or roller, because it's weird, you know?
Yeah, and I think if there's one thing that essentially...
Also, your genetics, and I'm not to interrupt you, your genetics plays a role, speaking into like where your family came from. You know, that's a huge part of it. That's a huge deal. Yeah, if you're fucking 90% Irish, you're going to tolerate a lot of carbohydrates. Your body's made to deal with a lot of carbohydrates, right?
Potatoes, right?
Yeah, but if you're coming from somewhere that's like more Mediterranean and stuff, you're built for more of a ketogenic diet of a lot of fats and stuff like that. So you're going to thrive on that type of diet, you know? So it depends on where your family comes from, where you're evolutionarily are from, you know?
So two things.
Yes.
The first one being, I think the last, 4 years maybe in particular, have really, I think, painted the picture that when it comes to diet nutrition, every individual person has such varying independent needs to their body. And it's all based off of multiple factors, to include genetics and all that stuff too, right? It's very, very strange, and I think it's a good personal responsibility thing to try to embrace that and try to experiment with different things. And if you're I've done the cutout diet thing before, where like you just don't eat this thing for a while, like you steer away from sugars, period, or you stay away from this, period, or you stay away from that, period. And if you do it for a long enough time, you might be able to gauge how you feel about different things. And also, I have a very good, I got a good like healthcare situation going on with, like, if I want to go get like blood work done like on demand on the regular, all I got to do is pay less than $20 and I can do that, and I get a full panel, and I can find out, and I can monitor with my doctor about other things, and I could do that in a responsible manner. And I can also do it very irresponsibly, whatever episode the fuck that was when I passed out on camera. But that was a whole deal. Deborah, you weren't around for those days. That was a whole thing. That's back in the archives. We got to find that episode at some point. But but on the other end, I heard fucking Joe Rogan talking about this with somebody else the other day. But I did that. I gave the corporations, the fucking globalists, I gave the government my DNA at some point, because I did the DNA.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I did that thing. I did it through Ancestry.com back then. So, maybe the offshoot, maybe that was the first one to get picked up, maybe not. But the question comes into play. I get my results back, and I got Ancestry coming back from like northeastern Europe, northwestern Europe, Wales, the Netherlands, or the Norway and shit like that, like very Scandinavian and German and
hella white.
Yeah, about the whitest you can get, but like
Jordan 2.
Vikingo white, like
Jordan 2.
Like we raped and murdered your family. It's
Jordan
fine.
2.
How long is it going to take for like the American ancestry to become a thing, like the contemporary American ancestry? Because we've done something in the modern American culture that is very, very, very new in human existence. We said, hey world, we're here, and y'all motherfuckers are welcome to come here too. throughout human history, that's not been the way it's worked. It's always been, your people have been from this area.
Right.
Your people have been from this area. There are some cross mingling and some commingling and some migration and this, that, and the other thing. But for the most part, people were where they were for a very, very long time, at least as far as contemporary human written history and shit like that. This is a new deal. This is a new thing where everybody from, like, the ultimate melting pot has occurred in the United States, whether we like to think it has or not at this point, and whether it's good or bad. It is an objectively good thing, I do believe. But how long is it until people are going to be, like, objectively American?
And that's
like,
really
like
tough.
Northern American,
That's
I
really
guess.
tough, because there's always going to be immigrants specifically who come here. So I'm here because it's a better opportunity than where I'm from. But my culture is still very important to me. There's always going to be people who want to marry within their culture to keep that around.
Well,
you
and
know,
to add to that, though, just to make sure, like, we get to that, because part of the melting pot aspect of it is, no matter which way you cut it or how homogenized you get to the American culture, like, no matter what happens, you bring a percentage of that culture with you, regardless, and that doesn't die. I mean, fucking Tex-Mex everywhere you want around the entire country, right? I mean, cuisine especially is a whole deal. That is culture melting right there. I mean, entertainment, it's huge in entertainment. I mean, hip hop. That is the cultural fucking phenomena of contemporary America.
Yeah.
That didn't stem from here. Like jazz did not stem from here. All this shit, even what we call American culture, is just some weird blender version of all these other cultures mixed together, and then certain spikes of other cultures stand through it. But at the same time, but overall, it's still like this weird mixed blend melted together to make something new. So yes, you did lose, like, the Ethiopian immigrants that come over here, and then second or third generation or whatever, they might be more Americanized than ever before as far as culture goes and this and that. But there's something that original first two generations brought over that impacted whatever local culture they were at in some percentage, that got intermingled with the other cultures that it interacted with, and this and that and the other thing. And then 3 generations later, you got something else that you're living in now that we recognize as American, but does have percentages of all this other influence, which was supposed to be what America was about, you know, and that's a good thing. But how do you ultimately, like, in 100 years, 500 years, there's going to be people here regardless at some point, whatever we call it at that point. What is that going to be? That's so weird.
And I think that is American culture, probably, because we're a melting pot. So the fact that you can go to different regions and there is a majority, or like a large, generally, there's a large population of a certain immigrant community there. You know, here there's a lot of Pacific Islanders. We have a lot of Pacific Islanders, just partially proximity, right? We're on the Pacific side of the Northwest. Or
a lot of Asian influence out here also.
Yeah, 100%. It's Asian, Pacific Islander,
Japanese,
in
Chinese.
general. Yeah, a lot of that.
All the rest.
Right. Part of it is proximity. Another part is like the military cooperation between the Philippines and the United States. There are a lot of people who they're just because they joined the Navy, and there are big Navy bases here. So part of it is military, you know, and so
you come back with a Guamanian wife type
exactly,
of deal,
and also also people who join when they're over there, you know, and then they come and they serve over here, and so that happens all the time. They settle, they bring their family here. So
yeah, I was on this fucking I was on a training program, right? I was in Petaluma, California, of all places. Awesome town. I've been there so many times. I love it. But it's just north of San Francisco, and I was there, and one of the guys that I just like
a lot of
clicked
Asians
with right
in
away.
California too.
Oh yeah, definitely. A lot of that had to do with like industry and shit, like the railroad system and all that shit, right?
Huge.
But like one of the guys that I met with over there was Nigerian, and he was, what do you call it? Like his parents had just immigrated. He was the first, like the next generation
like
or
second
whatever,
gen,
but had, you know, was an American citizen at that point and had joined the military and all this stuff. And like he introduced me to so much so many aspects of his culture from Nigeria.
Right.
And like we were able to take advantage of that because we were in like we could go visit San Francisco and shit like that. So we had like a lot of restaurants and this, that, and the other thing. And food is like the ultimate.
Yes.
That's where, because you get so much more culture around the food too. Like you go to a legit Nigerian restaurant in like a part of town where a bunch of other Nigerian immigrants might go to.
People meeting there with their families.
You're going to get more of that culture there, man. And like, I have never been more thankful in my life than like meeting that dude and being exposed to that culture, because that was like the first real, like truly like African centric like culture I was experienced to. And it was, for one, the food was just stupid. It was like to die for, man. Like you can't get, like, that's when I first experienced cassava root, and or you might call it yuca. A lot of places, right? It's the same shit.
Yeah.
But like, oh, that changed my life. And then all of a sudden, you know, Spanish wife, that whole deal, that they also use the same thing. It's like, it's just, you can't get that anywhere else than like a cultural melting pot like America. And that makes everybody better off, I think, in the end, to be perfectly honest.
It's the same thing as like if you go to China, different dialects and different cultures within China. You know, Muslim cultures, Buddhist cultures, just religious based. But past that, like I said, all the different dialects and stuff like that, different regions, they're just all Chinese, and it's they just all look a little bit more alike than we do here because they're all fucking Chinese. You know, in America, we're all just a bunch of fucks. We're just all a bunch of fucks. And so it's still regional like that because the culture is going to attract other people of that culture, you know? If you go to anywhere along the southern border, there's going to be a bunch of different Hispanic people of any different variety. South American, you know, in the middle of Venezuelan, you'll get more stuff like that. On the East Coast, like you're talking about Cubans, all the way down in Florida and all that type of stuff.
And there's all these like these enclaves of like migrant communities.
Yeah.
Rhode Island. Providence, Rhode Island has a massive Portuguese population.
Shit like that happens. Yeah.
Oh, buddy.
100%.
Dude, some of the Portuguese the Portuguese have this like special bread that is, you can't get anywhere else in the world, but you can get in Providence, Rhode Island, and you can get in Portugal. Right. And that's about it, dude.
Yeah. And that type of stuff happens.
Eye-opening.
And that's why the big cities become so multicultural, is because there's just more room to have everything. You know, there's more room for everything. If you have a town like Bremerton, you can only fit so many different cultures in Bremerton and have it all still work. Yeah. You know? So
and then you get the fucking hamburger, which is like the universal homogenization of like everything and nothing.
That's what I'm saying. The pioneers and settlers that turned into the industry men of America are going to take a little bit from everybody, and they're going to make it easy to sell to everybody else. You know, so that's whoever.
So to answer my question, how long before we have an American genome?
That's
100, 500 years. Who fucking knows?
As soon as you see, when you are of a different culture and you see that your culture is being whititized and sold to other people, you're American. That's it.
Interesting.
When your culture is being, and not like making it shitty, but like appropriated to make money, you're American. You are officially incorporated in the melting pot because the powers that be have decided this is good enough. Other people are going to like it.
And ain't that the fucking bitch of it all? Because if there's one thing America exports these days to the world, it's culture.
Yeah.
And isn't that because our culture is a blender of everyone's culture?
Yeah.
Ain't that some shit? Fucking America, dude.
Yeah.
And that's the shitty thing about, you know, everything we talk about when it comes to like how shitty the government is and how much they try to control us and all this stuff, because deep underlining that is the American spirit of freedom and liberty, which has led us to this point, which the government didn't do this, where we have this wonderful homogenization of the uniculture, right?
This was the people.
We did this.
This was the people.
All they do is exist to hinder it. And that's fucking sad, man. That's why they're bad, and that's why anarchy is the only way. No.
That's why individual liberty and freedom is the pathway forward for everybody.
That's the only way. And when I say anarchy, that's basically every time I think of anarchy, that's what I think about, honestly, is just individual liberty all the way. 100%. It's you do you. You don't need them. All they do is exist to make you subservient to them. Fuck them. We are the way forward. We got this shit. The last thing we need is them and their fucking influence. Period. Full stop.
It's just scarier when you say anarchism. People go, "Wait, what?"
That's scary,
Yeah,
isn't it? They're
it's
like
just
dudes
scarier.
with fucking shoulder pads and spikes and shit.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no, not
Individual
really.
freedom and liberty.
It depends on how it goes
Same
down.
thing as anarchism. It's
Yeah.
the same thing. It's the freedom of choice. It's
That's
the
right.
same thing.
That's
Yeah.
yes, it 100% is.
Anarchism just scares people. The word just scares people.
Yeah, and that's partly due to like popularized culture and fiction, though.
Same thing with guns and shit. You know, we talked about that. Just having a gun.
Just having a gun is scary. It's not good.
It's the same reason
You're gonna
I'm
hurt
scared
somebody.
for people to see my gun when I'm in public. You know,
That's why YouTube is scared when you show it on the internet.
Yeah.
Because they go, oh, the extremists, shut it down.
They don't like that.
Shadow ban achieved.
You're gonna love us next episode, YouTube.
Word. Because that shit's gonna get hard.
It's gonna be nice.
I'm excited though. I'm very excited to see where the next season of Jan 6, takes us, and
Season 3,
and the trial of those particular individuals of. All of a sudden, I can't get Proud Boys out of my head, but
Oath Keepers.
Oath Keepers. Thank you. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. We're going to have I'm sure we're going to have a lot to talk about next episode. Hopefully, we don't have to talk about World War III again.
That's right.
I would love.
Hopefully,
to
it's
not
all
do
blown
that.
over by then.
Amen. How much faith do I have? 0.
Well, I think with that,
yeah. Hopefully, I redeem myself in Jordan's eyes. I'm not that bad at it.
I love and hate that I did this. With
love it
that,
all the way.
Unless you have anything else that you want to add to this,
I have exhausted myself. I think we're good.
we'll be back in 2 weeks for a brand new episode 135 of Salt of the Streets. I've been Donovan.
I have been Colin.
And I want to thank you again for watching us here at youtube.com, Salt of the Streets, Instagram.com, Salt of the Streets, patreon.com/Salt of the Streets. Go there, help us make more better content just like this. We also have the newsletters, we have the book club, we have the beer shows, the live streams.
I will be live on Friday at 4:30 Pacific time, so be there, be square.
Book club preview dropped today, newsletter dropped yesterday. Go there. Help us make more better content just like this. Location Skate Shop, JP Bakery, Lexi Kayo, Swab Blended. That's everyone.
I love you, buddy. It's a good episode.
I love you.
Peace out, everybody.
Everyone.
Thanks for hanging out.
Welcome to the Salt of the Streets, coming at you every week with this food for